November 1st, 5 p.m. City Council meeting. City Clerk, please take roll.
Westergaard,
Present.
Boson,
Here.
Boss,
Here.
Gray,
Here.
Westergaard, whoops, sorry, Mandelbaum,
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
Your Honor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Due to the increased community transmission of COVID-19 in Polk County, we have implemented a face covering requirement in city buildings. The requirement applies to both staff and the visiting public and includes attendance at council meetings. If you do not have a face covering, one will be provided for you. The public is hereby notified that the City Council will not tolerate disruption of its business meetings. Persons wishing to attend this meeting are reminded of the following. We welcome germane comments from the public at the appropriate time, but this is a City Council business meeting, and the Council needs to conduct the people's business, and Council has rules that are validity adopted under Iowa law, and those rules will be as follows. Anyone engaging in disruptive conduct in the council chambers or Great Hall will result in those being disruptive being ordered to leave the building and being denied readmittance for the remainder of the day. No person will be permitted to stand in the council chamber during council sessions between the audience seats and the council members, except the persons addressing the council at the speaker's microphone and only after being recognized by the mayor. All persons desiring to address the council may do so only when recognized by the mayor, but the council reserves the right to limit the speaker's time and the order in which the speakers may address the council. Under Section 2-70 of the City Code, it is illegal to interrupt any person who is addressing the council except by a council member, and it is illegal to disrupt the council meeting. Everyone in attendance has First Amendment rights, and any disruptive conduct by one person or group impinges on the rights of others present. So disruptive conduct will not be tolerated. If the meeting is disrupted, the public speaking portion of the meeting may be moved to the next in-person meeting, which is not disrupted. Those who disrupt the meeting will not be called on during the meeting. We will be ordered to leave the building and may be cited or arrested for disorderly conduct, trespass, or interfering with the good order of the meeting, or any other applicable charges. With that, we need to approve the agenda as presented or amended.
I'll move approval.
Thank you. All those in favor, please vote.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Now we have to approve the consent agenda. These are items 3 through 39. We have 2 items that have been pulled from the consent agenda, number 7, Gatto, and number 25, Westergaard. Are there any other items to be pulled?
I see none, Your Honor. I'll move item 3.
Clerk, have you received any requests?
No, Your Honor, I received no requests.
Thank you.
I'll move item 3.
Thank you. With that, we'll vote. Where's my vote button?
I think you have to push it there, Linda, now.
Oh, this one?
Nope, right there.
Right there? Oh. Okay.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. With that,
Let's the record request. Your Honor, if I may.
yes.
I just want to note for the record and for the public that because of the seating arrangement, you're sitting in the presiding officer's chair, but the visual display is showing county and no vote by Westergaard, but apparently the votes tonight by county will be registered and officially will be Westergaard votes.
Thank you. And I guess I shouldn't push my speaker button.
No.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move right, that is the conclusion of the consent items.
Item 7. You have 2
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought we were to wait
No,
till,
when the rules were changed,
Oh,
we
yeah.
go to directly to hearings.
Hearings.
You're right.
so we are going to hearings. Okay, thank you. So we'll move right into the hearing items, which was to begin at 5 o'clock. And as a reminder, for those items where public comment is not taken or to convey information generally to the council or the city manager, Des Moines residents are encouraged to submit letters or emails, texts, or phone calls with additional comments or information to ensure they are sharing the information they would like shared. With that, we move into the hearing items. And for the hearing this evening, we have 4 zoning items, number 46 through 49. We also have several urban renewal plan amendment hearings and 1 HUD action plan hearing. As a reminder, for the zoning items only, which are items 46 to 49, we will hear from the parties in interest first and then the general public. The parties in interest for the zoning items include only the applicant for the rezoning and those persons living within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned to whom the city has sent notices. After all of the parties in interest have commented, we will open it up to any member of the public for germane comments. Excuse me, to aid in recognizing the parties in interest to the zoning items to speak, I will ask everyone else to not step to the microphone unless they are zoning, or unless they are the zoning applicant or live within 250 feet and received mailed notice of the rezoning. Anyone who approaches the mic before it is their time will be compared to the mailed list, and if not on the list, will be considered disruptive and will not be recognized for the remainder of the meeting and will be required to leave the building. So please wait until I call on the general public for the zoning items, or you will not be called on for the remainder of this meeting and will be required to leave the building. Excuse me. After all the parties in interest have been called upon, general public comment at not to exceed 1 minute per person to a maximum of 7 minutes will be called upon for germane public comment unless the hearing is ended sooner for failure to make germane public comments, or when the comments cease. For the other hearings this evening, any interested person may make germane comments as not to exceed 1 minute per person to a maximum of 5 minutes per hearing, excuse me, unless the hearing is ended sooner for failure to make germane public comments or when the comments cease. Thank you. So with that, do you want me to read this? No. Yeah, that's just later. Okay, we'll move right into the hearings. And number 40 on the proposed 2022 action plan as part of the 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan for submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Council Communication number 21-484.
I'll move approval of item 40.
Do we have any germane comments from the public? With that, the item is moved. Please vote.
That don't look so good.
Wait, there's one.
Did you get my vote?
Hang on 1 second. I think Something got messed up back there.
Connie needs to
Can do it again.
There. Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Bill, you're the only one that voted. Good job.
Motion passes. Item 41 on the proposed 29th Amendment to the Metro Center Urban Renewal Plan. Council Communication Number 21-473. Do we have any comments from council? From the general public? If there are none, may we have a motion?
I'll move item 41.
Thank you. All those, please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 42 on proposed Second Amendment to the Urban Renewal Plan for the Northeast Gateway 1 Urban Renewal Area, Council Communication Number 21-475. Do we have any comments from the general public? Any comments from council? If there are none, I will make that motion to accept this amendment. All those, please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 43 on the proposed Third Amendment to the Urban Renewal Plan for the Fleur Drive Commercial Urban Renewal Area, Council Communication Number 21-476. Do we have any germane comments from the general public? If there are none, council?
I'll move item 43.
Thank you, sir. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 44 on the proposed Third Amendment to the Urban Renewal Area Plan for the Merle Commercial Area Urban Renewal Area, Council Communication Number 21-477. Do we have any germane comments from the general public? Council, any comments?
I'll move, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. The item's been moved. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 45, on the proposed Ninth Amendment to the Urban Renewal Plan for the Ingersoll Grand Commercial Urban Renewal Area, Council Communication Number 21-478. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. B is the final consideration of the ordinance above, and the waiver was requested by Aaron Olson Douglas, Development Services Director, and B will require 6 votes. Do we have any germane comments from the general public? If there are none, council, any comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll move item 45, 45A, and 45B.
Thank you, sir. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 46 is on request from the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden. Kim Perez is the officer to amend the Plan DSM, Creating Our Tomorrow Plan, to revise the future land use classification from park open space to public semi-public, and to rezone 909 Robert D. Ray Drive from P1 Public, Civic, and Institutional District to P2 Public, Civic, and Institutional District to allow site modifications. 46A is first consideration of the ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above, and the waiver was requested by Kimberly Perez, President and CEO, and this requires 6 votes. Parties in interest, if we have, is the applicant here, would she like to speak? For rezoning and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned. We'll be given 5 minutes if there's anyone here. Second, we'll take germane comments from the general public. And if there are none, council.
I'll move item 46,
Thank-
A and B, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 47 is on request from David Griffith, the owner, to amend the plan DSM creating our tomorrow plan to revise the future land use classification from business park use to low-density residential and to rezone the property located at 1626 Buchanan Street from EX Mixed Use District to NX1 Neighborhood Mixed District to allow development of the property for residential use. 47A is first consideration of the ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. And the waiver was requested by David Griffith, owner, which will require 6 votes. Are there any parties of interest that would like to speak? Or anyone within 250 feet of the property? If there are none, germane comments from the general public? If there are none, a motion, please.
I'll move 47A and B.
Thank you. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries. I did.
On request from Gustavo Carello, the owner, for property in the vicinity of 1040 East County Line Road to rezone the property from NM Neighborhood District to NX2 Neighborhood Mixed District to allow construction of a one-household residential dwelling. A is first consideration of the ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above, and the waiver was requested by Gustavo Carello, owner, and this will require 6 votes. Are there any parties of interest that would like to speak on this item, or those living within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned? If there are none, germane comments from the general public?
I'll move, Your Honor, 48, A and B.
Thank you. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. On request from Smokers Genie II, LLC, Kuljit Chauhan, the officer, to rezone 3733 Easton Boulevard from MX1 Mixed Use District to MX2 Mixed Use District to allow reuse of the property for a fuel station use with wine and beer sales through the conditional use approval process. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of ordinance above, and the waiver was requested by Kuljit Chauhan, the officer, which will require 6 votes. Do we have any parties of interest that would like to speak on this, or anyone living within 250 feet of the property? Seeing none, I have asked Mike Ludwig. I had some questions about item 49 regarding whether liquor would be allowed here. So would you please help us better understand it, please, sir?
Mayor Pro Tem Michael Ludwig, Deputy Director of Development Services for the City of Des Moines. The rezoning request originally submitted by the applicant was for MX3 zoning on the property. The Planning Commission recommended MX2 zoning on the property. That would make a fuel sales business subject to a conditional use from the Zoning Board of Adjustment. They would also have to seek a conditional use for liquor sales on the property and receive a variance from the Board of Adjustment to the 500-foot separation requirement from a church, school, daycare, or park. So they have 3 very large hurdles to meet on that side of things. If they wanted to only seek beer and wine sales on the property, that would only require a conditional use permit for the C-store and then relief for the 150-foot separation from a church, school, or daycare. So staff believes that the Planning Commission's recommendation can be adequately protecting the neighborhood's interests. We don't anticipate staff recommending approval of liquor sales on the property, but based on the discussion of the Planning Commission, there's reasonableness in requesting beer and wine sales on the property.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, shall we take motion? Do we want to refer this back? Did we decide to refer it back, or? No, okay. Let's just go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve item 49A and B. Please vote. And that is the end of our hearings.
Can I give you the vote?
I'm
6
sorry,
yes,
yeah.
motion carries.
Thank you. This is the end of our hearings at 5:24 PM. Now we'll go back to item 7 on the consent agenda that was pulled, and Mr. Gatto would like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Temp. Westergaard, I just wanted to, first off, appreciate the efforts of the city manager's office and city staff, engineering, and others that brought this to our attention. I mean, we have a jewel of land out there that I believe can be used, the Army Post Road corridor, for future development. And I'm glad that we're going to take a look at study the corridor for traffic. That is obviously the first step, so we can get some properties out there that are ready, shovel ready for developers to come in, whether it be job centers, whether it be residential. So I appreciate the efforts, and I'm glad that we're moving this forward. I know the safety aspect on Southeast 36. We've been looking at that, and this will give us a clear picture of what we need to do on that intersection. I know we've had some discussion about it, but I appreciate your efforts of getting this in front of us. So I will move item 7 unless there's any other comments from council members or the audience.
Seeing none, please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 25 is on the adoption of the 4th restated urban revitalization plan for the citywide urban revitalization area of 11/15/21. And I am a no vote on this simply because I really feel there should have been more discussion. When I read the information where in order to get tax abatement, you had to build with 2x6 construction rather than 2x4. And in today's world, 2x4 is not going to be, 2x6 is not going to be any more energy efficient than a 2x4 is. So there were some other things that I found that I feel will inhibit the affordability of homes in being built in our community. And I think that affects, Anawim, it affects Habitat, it affects Home Inc. I just would like us to have more conversation about this. And I know that we're just setting the date of hearing, but I have to voice my objection to it. So with that, if someone...
I'll move item 25, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Please vote.
Your Your Honor, that's five yes and 1 no. Motion carries.
Thank you. With that, we move into the hearings. Ordinances. For first consideration, amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code regarding traffic regulation changes as follows. Council Communications Number 21-469, parking restriction from Pleasant Drive from Cummings Parkway to 56th Street.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I was going to move to continue this item until such time as a traffic study is completed in this area. And I think that may save discussion now. I know there's a lot of concern from the residents who live in this stretch, and they have a very strong preference that we take a holistic look at this area, and I think that's appropriate before we move forward. So
Thank you.
I'd move to continue until such time as a traffic study has been completed and we have additional recommendations from engineering based on that study.
Great. Do we need, please vote. To move to continue.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes. Motion carries.
Item 51, amending the Municipal Code of the City of Des Moines by adding Chapter 42, Article 11, Sections 42-558, 42-559, 42-560, 42-561, 42-562, 42-563, 42-564, 42-565, and 42-566 relating to stormwater management standards for development and redevelopment for grading permits, site plans, and plat approvals. Council Communication Number 21-470.
Your Honor, just a quick comment. I'm fine with this amendment. The thing that I don't like is that it doesn't put us on an even playing field with the rest of the communities, unfortunately. Other communities have decided not to participate in there where their growth is expanding tremendously. Not saying that that's the reason that their growth is expanding, but some of the things that are in these standards, which I'm not saying that I disagree with them, I wish we had a county-wide ordinance that everyone would participate and we were all on the same playing field. This does not do that for us and other communities, but we will continue to do the right things in other communities for our environment, and other communities will continue not to do those things, and it will lower their cost of building, and it will continue to drive them to other communities that aren't meeting by these same standards. So I'm supportive of this amendment. But unfortunately, everyone needs to understand that it does put us on not a very same playing field as others.
And to be clear, most of the other communities in the metro have adopted this. There's just, I think, right now, I mean, we're still waiting on others, but there's one in particular that has voted this down.
Yeah.
And that particular community is upstream from us in a watershed that has been prone to flooding.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I share your frustration, and we should encourage that particular community to be a good player, because their actions are impacting Des Moines residents and our ability to keep our residents out of harm's way.
Frustration noted, but having said that, if I move this, do we need to do anything about a second and third reading? According to 42, Jeff,
It just-
42A.
You can make a motion to waive second, third reading.
Yes, I would like to. So
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
let's do the right thing and be part of the lead on this, so.
And
thank you.
hopefully have more discussion with the other community up north.
That would be extremely helpful as we see the digging a lot of foundations, moving a lot of dirt up there, and we're going to suffer the consequences because we are downstream and they aren't following best practices. So that is very frustrating.
Right. They save costs at our expense.
Yes.
With that, please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Item 52 is amending Section 106-2 and repealing Sections 106-136 and 106-201 relating to stormwater management. Any discussion? Motion?
I'll move item 52 and pursuant to Council Rule 42A, move to waive the second and third reading.
Thank you, sir. Please vote.
Your Honor, that's 6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next is the request to speak as follows, and I just want to remind people, for those people wishing to speak this evening under the public speaking item of the agenda, we will only be calling on those who have registered to speak. All speakers must comply with the rules regarding their names and addresses, or they will not be recognized to speak. Each of the 8 speakers this evening will receive up to 2 minutes to make their comments. Please keep your own time, because at the end of 2 minutes, the clerk will announce time and the speaker's mic will be closed and we will move immediately to the next speaker. We want to hear from all of our residents, and we encourage residents to be respectful of other viewpoints that are different from their own. While you may certainly disagree with that viewpoint, I want to remind everyone that council's rules provide that any comments that are slanderous will result in the speaker being barred from further comment. As the presiding officer, I will determine whether comments are slanderous or not. Fair warning, arguing with the presiding officer about his or her determinations on any matter is not permitted, and doing so will be considered disruptive and result in the speaker being barred from further comments and being required to leave the building. With that, it looks like our first speaker has withdrawn. So Ethan Carpenter, please step up to the microphone, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak in front of you tonight. My name is Ethan Carpenter. I'm the Regional Maintenance Manager for Lloyd Property Management based out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm also here as a representative for Hickman Partners, LLC, based out of Omaha, Nebraska. I'm here in regards to the property located at 2400 Hickman Road in Des Moines, known as Hickman Flats. You may have heard of Hickman Flats or Royal Oaks Apartments previously, before the name change. You may have heard of the long history of homeless population trespassing, breaking and entering, drug dealing, abuse, just from what I've seen over the past several months. Since taking over ownership and management, we've installed 24/7 on-site security through Connolly Security. We have done a lot to help us, but there are limitations just due to the nature of armed security versus actual police presence. We've also installed new entry locks, which are actually just being activated today. We installed a new gate at the front entry. We're exploring the option of putting some sort of a fence around the property, but as you may know, there is a It's pretty exorbitantly expensive, judging from the size of the property, which is 11 acres. We're looking into more security cameras. The biggest thing that we're facing is the police response time, in that it's 45 minutes to an hour to get them out on any call, especially like an active breaking and entering or a fight or something that's actually dangerous, not just a homeless person in a stairwell. We've also explored the crime-free multi-housing program. The problem is that with a project our size, the ability to get within the parameters that they require is extreme.
Thank you, Ethan. I would encourage you to submit additional comments in writing, and please reach out to your neighborhood-based service delivery officer if you've had comments or had any contact with that officer. I encourage you to do that.
Ethan, I've seen the improvement. I drive past that every day, so you've done a great job, and I'll talk to the neighborhood-based service delivery officer about response times, see if we can get that improved for you as well.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Not to take up any more time, where would I submit those additional comments?
City manager. Online.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question of, the multifamily crime fee program is very crucial to managers of apartments and things like that. And I think you were going to state something about it, and I'd like to know what it is. If there's a problem with that, then we need to address that immediately, because we've had nothing but good feedback from that program. So
Yeah, in short, what I was essentially going at is that, or where I was going, was that program is great. I have been
Okay.
a part of properties that are a part of it or are working towards becoming a part of it. The problem is you've probably seen from that property, it's enormous. It's an enormous undertaking with massive, the cost would be almost impossible without some sort of assistance. And so I'm trying to see, is there, grant programs? Are there this? Are there, are there programs essentially to assist us in getting to that point?
Well, not to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but if that's the case, we've got we have quite a few of big apartment complexes that are participate in that program, and we don't offer them any grants. That's part of the rent that you're getting from some of those. You need to put back into that and to make sure that they're safe and that you're using that type of income in the right way. So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some type of discrepancy with that program, because I've heard nothing but good things about that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
All
right.
There's no issues with the program itself.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ethan. Jolene Prescott?
Okay. Yes. My name is Jolene Prescott. I live at 3013 3rd Street. That would be Linda Westergaard's place in the Des Moines. Last week, I wanted to speak on an issue, and there was a group here that took that whole 5 minutes to do it. And what I'm asking you is, when you see that there's one side of an issue that has spoken about something, if you could call for, if is anybody else on the opposite side of this, and just open that up to other people, because I just have a feeling that's part of the strategy there. They suck all the time away. So we need to make sure that we're hearing both sides of a situation, because that's important. That's the American way. I want you to let you know something about me. I'm not defund the police, and I'm not back the blue either. I believe in reimagining the police, because I think it can be better. And I want you to know about these two guys. These are my grandsons, and they're not white. They are black. And I want to make sure it's safe for them to have interactions with the police in the future. And for all kids this age that are black and other races. And so that's what I'm working for. And I'm just sorry that another group makes it harder to get that done because of their very to the one side kind of attitude. So, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jolene. Next is Adam Callahan in the audience.
Hello, my name is Adam Callahan. I live at 50309 in Josh Mandelbaum's ward. Wanted to talk about first, the elections are tomorrow, November 2nd. Going to be the first of many, seeing how things have been changing over the years, and I encourage everybody to go out and vote. Also wanted to talk about the virtual option. We should really be having a virtual option for these meetings. It would be a huge win for accessibility, which has come out a lot on the campaign trail. I think almost every candidate has talked about accessibility, but we still do not have that virtual option for these meetings. I know it's something we didn't have before COVID, but we also didn't have a pandemic before then, and we also didn't have 8 STAR team officers like lurking behind the chambers before it. So things have changed, and I think we need to respond and make things more accessible rather than less. Also want to talk about the Food Security Task Force. There was a lot of good done by that task force, but it was overshadowed by the fact that the city is terminating farm leases for urban farms, and they're still citing community fridges and forcing them to move or relocate or just stop operating. And also by people leaving the task force because of sexual misconduct that was not taken seriously by the city. And lastly, I wanted to talk about DMPD. We still don't have answers or any sort of accountability on a lot of issues. There was still a shooting last month we still don't have answers on. We are told the body cam footage will be released as soon as possible. As far as I know, it still has not been released, and we haven't had an update on that. The sexual harassment and assault allegations that came out, I think in September, still don't really have a city response on that. Still don't have a city response on Conley and Wingert's relationship and those emails going back and forth. We have the Conley side of it, but seems like Wingert is just silent on that. And we still have an issue of Wingert not meeting with the public. I don't see how the DMPD can improve and can make strides for the better if the chief of police won't even work with the public and hasn't for over 2 years now. And we still don't have responses for the protests and the violence from officers at those protests that we now know resulted in more than 80 wrongful arrests through the courts. We've seen that there's been over 80 wrongful arrests, and that's just the start of this. And it's really unfortunate, and the city needs to have some sort of answer and some sort of accountability, but we've seen none of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Deb Franklin.
Deborah Franklin, 1063 40th Street. I'm continuing on with the cybercrime that our family's been experiencing. Lawyers say that we need to have positive proof that Robert Franklin is the perpetrator in order to issue myself and my family an order of protection. Our family, and especially myself, have been victimized for 7 years now, the end of October. This is a report from, I have an advocate through Iowa Children and Family Services, works with victims of abuse. This is to verify that I've known Deborah Franklin for over 4 years now. Deborah has been a client of Children and Families of Iowa Domestic Violence Services since March of 2017. I've worked with Deborah on an individual basis, and she also attends my domestic violence support group, which meets on a weekly basis. Deborah continues to attend the domestic abuse support group for 3 main reasons. The first reason is the ongoing horrific abuse inflicted upon her mother-in-law, Mary Helen Stover. The second reason is the secondary trauma this has created for her, her husband, and their children, and how this trauma has affected their relationships and lives in general. The third reason is the ongoing cybercrime inflicted upon Deborah and the family by her brother-in-law, Robert Franklin. He, as she believes, to be the main perpetrator involved with the cybercrime. As Deborah continues to advocate on her mother-in-law's behalf, the cybercrime continues.
Thank you, Deb. Peyton Shoemaker. Doesn't look like she's here. Denver Foot. Also, Viola Perry.
Council members, Viola Perry, Ward 1, 50310, and a member of ICCI Racial Justice Team. My question is, how much more will the city of Des Moines pay for lawsuits filed against the Des Moines Police Department? The city has paid large amounts of money to settle racial profiling lawsuits against DMPD. And now, there are lawsuits coming from within the police department filed by 5 of its employees alleging sexual harassment and discrimination. So, do council members choose to ignore the red flags around and within the Des Moines Police Department? Perhaps using the Band-Aid effect, that is, pay them the money and make them go away, problem solved. This doesn't work. Just let me cut to the chase. An independent third-party investigation of DMPD is needed now. One more thing. My inquiring mind want to know also how effective is the de-escalation training for DMPD. This information should be presented with the independent third-party investigation. Finally, there was a noted author by the name of Dr. Claude Anderson. He once said it takes 2 to start a revolution. And I understand that it takes 4 council members.
Thank you, Viola.
My time is up.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Can I finish that one last thing? 4 council members so they can either move?
Yes.
Asking for accountability?
Yes. One more.
Council members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and please feel free to send any emails to us also. Feel free to send us emails also. Okay, thank you. I understand.
I will move to receive and file item 53B through H.
Thank you. Please vote. A voice vote is sufficient. Clerk, please take.
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, do we have a motion to adjourn? Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
A voice vote for the adjournment. Please vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.